All right, welcome back to the morning show, right here on the Rise News channel. It's indeed trying times for oil-producing communities of Bayelsa State, where pollution is gradually dominating social discourse. Two communities in southern Ijaw local government area seeking the attention of the Nigerian Agip Oil Company and the state and the federal government of Nigeria. The attention being sought by these communities became necessary after the destruction of farmlands, fish ponds, and economic trees by the continuous blowout from the Santa Barbara River for about 1 month now. A Rise correspondent of Ijaw reports.
Ondewari and Okpotuwari are neighboring communities in Olodiama clan of southern Ijaw local government area of Bayelsa State, sharing common boundaries and confronted with the adverse effect of oil exploration and exploitation. In Ondewari, a woman is applying a local method of producing oil from palm fruits, a common feature in the community. However, she is unhappy over a development in the area.
As I go farm, fire don't burn the bush. So as I know fit do farm again, I need the company with the government to help me with my picking them.
To get the true picture of what Ege Dembofa painted, we embark on a fact-finding mission into the Tunye bush commonly shared by the people of Ondewari and Okpotuwari. Through narrow footpaths and marshy grounds, we meander through the Tunye bush for about 40 minutes before arriving a wide expanse of land already impacted by crude oil from the Ogboimbiri-Tebidaba pipeline belonging to the Nigerian Agip Oil Company.
May, June, we noticed this spill. We discovered that the clamping job has already been done, of which we are counting as an equipment failure. Otherwise, we know what Agip would have done with us. They would have come to our communities, threatened us, harassed us, if it was at all a sabotage. But just because it was an equipment failure, they secretly came and do the clamping job and left.
Right from this area to the other end, every palm tree is burnt off. And then there are a lot of economic trees. We use them for lumbering, timber, which is one of our economic earning. And all of them are gone. We have fish pond here scattered all over this swamp. And then women came in here during the flooding period to put their nets, catch fish for their earning. But all is gone now. The rainwater has been polluted. The river water is not also good for us. We don't even have pipe-borne water. Even the one Agip did for us is not even working fine for us. So we need Agip to come and assist us and the federal government.
This is happening because of regulatory capture in this country. The regulatory agencies are not being able to follow through. They leave the site for the communities and these giant oil companies to contend with. Nobody knows what happened after that time. The local people have been denied, and this is one you have come to see.
It is a fact that palm and other economic trees have already been affected in the area, leaving the people with no other option than to seek the intervention of government.
We don't know who we are to go and meet. Agip has done several times, and this time around, we cannot take it. So please let the federal government, the state government, and the company itself should come to help the community.
Ajipume ko manga te gbebra ko manga yani ebe wo beke fere ko woni membo ko gbalmini anta membo mbra pa te fi ajipu bunyankri mbra ko yambo te ane onbo belo yeme leave materials ko bo predesa won momo pereta on ko wo mo mi gbebra o mo ko yemi ane ebe. I'm
calling on the government, the federal government that has arrogated to itself the power, everything about oil and gas, to prevail on the Nigerian Agip Oil Company to come back to site and do proper cleanup of this oil spill impacted environment and pay compensation. Apart from their right of way, that is still heavily polluted. You can see the presence of hydrocarbon, crude oil on the right of way, the Ogbembri-Tebidawa pipeline is still heavily polluted. Outside their pipe right out of way, you still have the same thing, crude oil and then damaged, burnt off, economic trees and farms, ponds all destroyed. So I want to reiterate, the media should also help us. You have been our bulwark, that this is one too many.
People of the affected communities may seem helpless at the moment, but using the media, they keep hope alive that some way, somehow, their cries will be heard in Aso Villa. Ovieteme George, Arise News.
Right, now joining us from Alagoa, Bayelsa State, to throw more light on the level of environmental degradation in the state, as well as to bring us up to speed on the Nembe oil spill, is Morrison Alagoa, Project Officer and Head of Niger Delta Resource Centre at Environmental Rights Action Friends of the Earth. Good morning, Mr. Alagoa, and welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. I mean, just give us a sense of what is happening, because prior to this time, we're talking about Nembe oil spill. We didn't factor this in. There's a case of another one, that is happening, a gas spill, I think that's involving corn oil. So there are too many cases happening. In fact, can you just start by giving us a diary of all the spills and, all the infractions happening in oil-producing areas of the country?
By saying in 2014, the leadership of NOSDRA indicated publicly that Bayelsa State is most polluted. And when you take into cognizance the fact that they have to do with oil spills and response, you know that they are talking about oil spill-induced pollution. As we speak right now, just day before yesterday or so, on the 30th, there was another major oil spill from Agip's wellhead at Ogbembri. And we have the videos. The Apoy Creek was seriously polluted, and then the whole environment. And so, just as you have seen in the Nembe Ijaw incident, although that one is two-sided, but this one is just spraying the same way from Agip's wellhead. And this has happened sometime earlier this year and last year or so. So the spills are continuing. Talking about the gas leak ongoing in the Sangana area from corn oil, that one is still continuing. And it's not affecting only Sangana community, because this is airborne and waterborne. So it affects several communities along the coastline, even into southern Ijaw from Brass local government. The same thing, this one from the Ijaw facility has gone beyond Nembe local government. It has reached Brass local government and parts of River State. So the pollution is just a matter of information. Every now and then we have one oil facility spewing crude oil or gas into the environment in Bayelsa State. And not only that, if you go to a community called Ikarama, which is in Yanagwa local government, or Kodia clan, sites that have been impacted years ago, you dig and you will see crude oil, even though Shell said they have cleaned up those impacted sites. It happened earlier this year. We went there, dug a place, and then we saw crude oil. We published the report. NOSDRA invited me as of ERA, and then Shell. We went back with Shell, NOSDRA, and the Environmental Rights Action. And then we dug fresh places where we cleared grasses, and we saw raw crude oil right in the ground. And then Shell was dumbfounded. So that community is also having incidents of cancer, young people coming up with cancer here and there. And then the land and water has lost its fecundity. Talking about the current issue in Ondewari-Okpotuwari environment, since I started working for the Environmental Rights Action, I have seen this happen about 4 or 5 times within this Agip Tebidaba pipeline. Once they issue cleanup contract to a contractor, the place will go up in flames and it will destroy vast expanse of land, economic trees, ponds, farm crops, and all of that. But you know, these spills are happening in our swamps where our people do rainy season fishing. They have special fish traps that the women always prepare for. We have the bush mango, we have different type of trees, bush bean, and then those that they cut for timber. All these get burnt off, even those who are tapping palm wine and then brewing local gin. So it is a very, very sad and unfortunate situation that is really unacceptable. I have seen this happen from Agip spill site severally, right from Lasukbini in 2008 in southern Ijaw local government area, in 2010 in Ikebri environment, just nearby Ikeyembri community. Then you go even to Wembri where Agip has its flow station. So the same thing is happening in places like Okodia, where in a Calabar community, they have burnt most of their sites. So it is very, very serious. The people have been denied of their means of livelihood. In terms of health, they have also been impacted. And then socially, you have problems associated with that. Before we begin to talk about the Ijaw Nembe spill that have continued for over one month and is still going on.
Well, quickly, I mean, we know that this has been a recurrent problem. You cited, you know, the various experiences that you have witnessed. Now, what do you think is the problem? Do you think it's a failure of the relevant regulatory agencies? Those agencies not doing what they should do? Just a moment. And then secondly, Ijaw has come forward to say that they will succeed in killing the well in Nembe on the Santa Barbara River in a matter of days. And that, you know, is that any consolation that they are now talking about, you know, providing a solution 1 month after? And in any case, they went to Nembe with 5 truckloads of relief materials, the second round. Do you think that Ijaw has acted in good faith or not?
Well, in as much as I appreciate what Ijaw is doing in terms of relief materials, it is still not good enough because the real victims might not have anything. And then for you to take care of families, children, and adults, it is a very tough situation right now. How do you distribute these materials to all of them? So as far as that is concerned, much is still expected, even from the NDDC, from the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, and then from even the state government, and then from NEMA, the National Emergency Management Agency. We've not heard anything from NEMA. But if this thing had happened in some sections of this country, NEMA would have taken a kind of Ben Johnson race to that place. So you can see the double standard. Talking about the killing of the well, that is also scary, but some stakeholders are thinking, Ijaw is just buying time, thinking that the well will kill itself, that the pressure will go down on its own. Yes, that is one thing some stakeholders are thinking, and I think I buy that idea because the 2 days they gave when the Minister of State visited had elapsed since. And now they are saying days when the governor visited. So it is most unfortunate. However, I think even the federal government and her joint venture partners have not done enough. This is not just an Ijaw issue. It is an oil industry issue and pollution. A disaster of this nature ought to have all stakeholders contributing towards the solution. We expect that by now, even the federal government would have sat down with other oil companies like Shell, Agip, Chevron, and the rest of them. We know the issue of competition is there, And they would like to say, I am perfect, the other one is not doing as I could do. But then, we should keep all those aside and see how they can jointly come together and put off this ongoing spill at Nembe environment. When fire service, sometimes we are in Port Harcourt, when there is a fire incident, you see Shell fire service come, NPA fire service is coming, government fire service is coming. That is how it should be. So it is unfortunate that these oil companies join together to deal with us in terms of the petroleum industry bill, or which has become an act, but they are not cooperating when it comes to issues like this. It is very, very unfortunate and not good enough. They should come together and save the environment. It is no longer an ITO issue, but an oil industry issue. That apart, let me go to the regulatory agencies. For quite some time now, we have been saying there is regulatory capture in this country, where regulators will be housed in oil company facility. The oil companies will be in charge of their logistics, taking them to site. They will eat together, drink together, share other things together. Even the regulators, some of them, I mean some of them in quotes, looking for oil cleanup contract from these very people they are regulating. What do you expect from them? And that is why we are saying the regulators should be properly funded and monitored effectively to ensure that they live up to their responsibilities. Anyone that is found corrupt should be tried and then penalized. Because I have heard, even from insider, from the oil industry, a regulator told me how their bosses, some of their bosses are searching for oil spill cleanup from the oil companies. This is unacceptable. It is double standard, and that is why sometimes they compromise. Even though some of them are very good, I've also seen them argue very strongly with these oil companies at spill sites, telling them that, what do you mean by third party? What do you mean by sabotage? Sometimes you may be doing some work in your own facility and then a spill occurs, you run away when you cannot contain it, and you later come back to say it is third party or sabotage. I've heard a NOSRA staff argue, debated heavily with a Shell staff in the field. So some of them are good, but we still have some bad eggs, like every 12 having a Judas.
Well, thank you very much, Maurice Alagoa, for joining us on the morning show today. Thank you very much indeed.